A lot of people think depression just shows up out of nowhere. One day you're feeling fine, and then suddenly you don't. But for most people, it doesn't actually happen that way. More often, it starts quietly. You're more tired than usual, you're going through the motions of your day, but everything feels heavier. Things that used to feel manageable starts to take more effort. At first, it's easy to explain it away as stress or burnout or just a tough season of the year. But over time, these pressures can start to add up in the brain. Before we go any further, if we haven't met yet, my name is Edie, a board-certified psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. I spend my days helping people understand what's happening in their brains when life starts to feel heavy, overwhelming, or harder than it used to be. So today, I want to walk you through 5 things that can slowly and quietly pull the brain towards depression. Because when you understand what's happening beneath the surface, you're in a much better position to step in earlier and get the support that you need. The first one is chronic stress. Short bursts of stress are something the brain can usually recover from. A deadline, a busy week, a hard conversation. But when stress becomes constant, the brain never really gets a break. It stays flooded with cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And over time, that starts to interfere with serotonin and dopamine, which are the chemicals that help to regulate your motivation and pleasure. This is why chronic stress doesn't just make people feel tired or overwhelmed. It can start to change how your brain processes emotions. People may notice that they're more irritable, more emotionally reactive, or more emotionally flat. When stress goes long enough without relief, it can slowly push the brain towards a depressive state. The second factor is poor or disrupted sleep. Sleep is not just for rest. It's when the brain does most of its maintenance work. During sleep, the brain resets neurotransmitters, regulates emotional circuits, and clears out waste that builds up during the day. When sleep is constantly poor, these systems can stop working smoothly. Serotonin and dopamine regulation have become less stable, and that's why lack of sleep often shows up as low mood, irritability, brain fog, or feeling emotionally numb. Sleep problems are not just a symptom of depression. They can actively drive it. The third factor is social withdrawal. Our brains are wired for connection. Spending time with other people naturally stimulates chemicals such as dopamine and oxytocin, which helps to support emotional resilience. When someone starts pulling back for long periods of time, whether because of stress, burnout, grief, or anxiety, these protective signals begin to decrease. At first, isolation can feel like a relief, but over time, the brain can start to interpret being alone as lack of safety or lack of support. And that can deepen feelings of emptiness, hopelessness, and disconnection, which are the core features of depression. The fourth factor is unprocessed trauma or loss. Trauma doesn't just live in the memory, it lives in the nervous system. When emotional pain isn't fully processed, the brain can stay stuck in its heightened state or shut down altogether. People may notice changes in mood, difficulty concentrating, disruptive sleep, or feeling emotionally disconnected from themselves or others. Depression after trauma is often the mind's way of slowing things down when emotions become too overwhelming to process all at once. The fifth factor is neurochemical vulnerability. Some brains are often more sensitive to changes in serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. That sensitivity can be influenced by genetics, hormones, medical conditions, medications, or long-term stress. When these systems fall out of balance, the brain can struggle to regulate mood and motivation, even when life looks fine on the outside. This is why depression isn't always situational. Sometimes it's biological. These factors rarely exist on their own. More often, they build up on each other over time. Ongoing stress starts to disrupt sleep, and once sleep is affected, emotional balance becomes harder to maintain. Isolation can then deepen that strain, especially when it overlaps with past trauma, while burnout slowly wears the body and mind alongside underlying biology. When support comes early, it interrupts that buildup before it becomes overwhelming. Even small forms of help, such as better rest, connection, understanding, or professional guidance, can change the direction things are heading and make recovery feel far more reachable. Depression is not a personal failure. It is a sign that the brain is under strain and needs support. When we understand what pulls the brain towards depression, we can respond sooner with care, structure, and the right interventions. If this is helpful, save it, share it with someone who might need it, and we will keep breaking this down together.